I'm Dr. Layla Dillon, astrophysicist, AI strategist, founder of Sire. Today's transmission, Space, the final AI governance frontier. Why AI in space will redefine consequence and what leaders must understand before we get there. Welcome to the intelligence frontier. I've been in enough space conferences now to notice a pattern. Beyond the usual suspects, space agencies, investors, hardware vendors, there are three constants in the room. Billionaires with rockets, defense teams in uniforms, and a small army of lawyers who clearly smelled opportunity in orbit before anyone else did. Insurance existed long before Lloyd's of London formalised it in the 17th century. Space won't be any different. And honestly, sometimes I think about 2001, A Space Odyssey, and wonder what would have happened if HAL had been insured by Lloyd's of London. Think about it. It would probably be the shortest film in cinematic history. Open the pod bay doors, HAL. Switch to HAL, calm, deadpan voice. I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that due to rigorous governance practices. If you intend to override my protocols, please follow the documented procedure. And that's it. Dave spends the rest of the movie flipping through a binder. Fade to black. Roll credits. Anyway, every time someone brings up AI in space, the room either goes very quiet or everyone keeps talking into the void. Like everything was fine. And I'll tell you why. Three things. First, AI is already treated as a default delivery and execution layer. Second, nobody has fully solved how AI will actually do all the things being promised. Everybody in the room knows that it's not just about capability, it's about consequence. They know we need AI to manage orbital infrastructure, satellite constellations, space logistics, and complex missions. But nobody wants to say the uncomfortable part out loud. AI in space forces us to get the governance right, and we haven't even finished, though, getting it right on Earth. Space changes the meaning of consequence. It multiplies organizational failure modes and makes governance very visible. Space is the next final frontier for governance. Governance in space is not about consent between robotic systems. That is a very different podcast and a whole other paywall. Here, governance loses any romanticism it might have had. It's stripped down to its bare essentials. And yes, this is still a space and business podcast. But let's think about it. Who decides? On what basis? With what visibility? And who carries the consequences when you can't reverse it? Governance in orbit is leadership expressed at orbital scale. It is the architecture of decision when those decisions become irreversible. And on Earth, we're much closer to that reality than most people want to admit. Let me give you a simple test. Where in your organization are you now making decisions that could be expensive, slow, or politically impossible to do? The moment your systems cross that line, you're no longer managing your projects on the tactical level. You are governing irreversible infrastructure. From there, three operational truths emerge. Truth number one, orbit rewards preparation and punishes improvisation. In orbit, designs become operational reality. Every assumption ships with the mission. When something goes wrong in space, the system doesn't get a second chance. There is no, we will patch it next sprint. Decision you've already made becomes the outcome you live with. Truth number two, space turns architecture into geopolitics. In space, architecture is geopolitical. Data routing, prioritization, and access patterns directly shape power, visibility, and leverage. Who sees what and when becomes a function of system design, not just policy language. Truth number three. Space systems are governed by coordination before they are governed by code. Long before any line of code executes, you are already dealing with multiple institutions, incentives, and legal frameworks in the operational stack. Governance is the structure that keeps multi-actor systems coherent or exposes their fault lines. In tightly coupled systems, failure propagates. Small faults trigger chain reactions. They create second-order effects, then third-order ones. You don't get a clean failure, you get a cascade. We've seen this in markets. We've seen it in cloud infrastructure. We've seen it in critical systems. Space makes the pattern brutally visible. Because there's no slack, no easy rollback, and no quiet fix. It's the same governance pattern, just with less forgiveness. Space today isn't just rockets and satellites. It's orbital AI, autonomous navigation, multispectral intelligence, predictive analytics, defense-class decision systems, and cross-border data entanglements stitched together in a single operational fabric. AI automates consequences of these systems working together. It accelerates decisions, amplifies second-order effects, and shrinks the window for human correction. That's where leadership maturity becomes visible. Leaders show what they value when they invest in features, in operations, or in decision quality and governance. High-stakes innovation with almost zero tolerance for systemic failure doesn't just benefit from governance. It demands governance as a core leadership discipline. So, here's the part that many organizations I've worked for and guide still miss. We don't need, or you don't need, rather, a satellite fleet for any of this to apply to you. Any organization running AI platforms or tightly coupled infrastructure is already operating conditions of irreversibility, cascade risk, and delayed consequence. Space doesn't invent those dynamics. It simply reveals in high resolution the patterns that already govern modern enterprises. Space is where governance becomes visible. It is where decision-making and consequence finally meet in public. When systems outgrow the structures that are supposed to govern them, leadership devolves into consequence management. The question isn't how do we move faster? The question is what happens when we can't take it back? So whether you're building terrestrial AI or preparing systems from orbit, the principle is the same. Govern what you build before you build what governs you. I've been your host, Dr. Layla Dillon, and this has been The Intelligence Frontier. For transcripts, extended insights, and case studies so you can engage with this material at the level you need, visit my Substack. You'll find deeper dives, practical frameworks, and strategic content for each episode there. Links to the Substack, the live briefing, and my LinkedIn are in the show notes. Till we meet again, create with conviction and inspire with passion. Layla out.